everyone, it's Jennifer from Flux. In this video, I'm going to show you how to crochet these super cute Caribbean wave hoop earrings. These are some simple little hoops, and we're just going to put a very easy little crochet scallop along the edge. These are a fun, very fast little project. It's a perfect project if you need a little pick-me-up, or if you have a ton of this embroidery floss kind of hanging out, or if you just need something small in between a larger project. It's perfect for that. We're going to learn how to crochet the little scallop part, and then at the end we're going to learn how to assemble them. So let's get started. For this project, you'll need a pair of scissors, a tapestry needle. We're going to be using some embroidery floss. This is just regular DMC floss, the kind you find at the craft stores, usually in all those little drawers. It comes in tons of colors. Let me just show you. All kinds of colors, really any color you can imagine. If you like this color in particular, this is number 959, just as a side note. And one little skein of this is more than enough, and it pulls just kind of like a yarn skein would. We're also going to be using, with our embroidery floss, a 3.25 millimeter D crochet hook. You'll need some jewelry pliers. They don't have to be fancy jewelry kind. You can just use whatever little needle nose pliers you might have on hand. We're also going to need the parts for earrings. Now you can get them in pieces like mine. Now I've got these hoops as a separate pack. They came in little packs of small hoops, little hoops, some like teardrop shaped hoops, not very expensive at all. But if you're using one of these, you'll also need a jump ring to connect it to your hook. These are called French hooks. And let's see, here's the box of those. Well, they call them ear wires, but I've also seen them called French hooks too. But you'll need the parts to make your earring. And you can also find them already put together. So if you're not into this part, you can just buy them already assembled as well. It's totally up to you. I'm just kind of using things I have on hand. So we're going to do the crochet part first, and then I'm going to show you how to put everything together. Super easy. So I'm going to keep the little earring off to the side here while we work so we can refer back to it. So to begin, you'll just need the hoop part. Now, it can be any size really, as long as this, I have 4 little scallops here, as long as they'll fit on your hoop, okay? So just pull out a little bit of yarn, and then what we're going to do is kind of turn our hoop upside down so that our little ring is pointing downward. And we're just going to tie it right on to our hoop. Okay, so just tie it right on there and leave yourself a little tail. It doesn't have to be too long. Just a small knot is fine. You don't want too much bulk with these because they are, you know, nice and delicate. Once you've tied your knot on, just sort of slide it to the right a little bit because we're going to be working from right to left. And then you can take your tail and we're going to just kind of hold that along the edge as we work, okay? So then what we want to do, this is just 2 rows that we're going to be doing for this. So what we're going to do for our first row is just work some single crochets. So what you want to do, hold that tail along the edge, and if it slides over, it's fine, we can always slide it back. But you're just going to insert your hook into the center of this hoop, bring up a loop, and then you're going to chain 1, wrap yarn around the hook, and bring it through the loop, just like that, and sort of snug it down onto that hoop. And then we're going to work 12 single crochets into the center of this ring. Okay, so still holding that tail, snug that loop down, and we're going to insert the hook into the center of the ring, bring up a loop, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through both loops on your hook. Okay, you'll want to go nice and slow with your little tiny hook and your embroidery floss, just because you know, it's all tiny, and this is kind of a satiny, slippery floss, so you just want to take your time, okay? So that's 1, 2. I'm still holding that tail along the edge this whole time we do these so that it weaves in as we go along. It just makes things look neater and it's easier at the end. So that was 2. And then 3. And then 4. And then 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, okay? So then what you want to do, we're going to move on to row 2, but before we do that, what you want to do is see how our single crochet sort of got twisted around our hoop here? That's totally fine. Just kind of twist them back into place. You want those little stitches to be along the edge now, just all in a row, okay? So then what we're going to do, let me just pull a little bit out of here, and I like to hold it as I pull because I like to keep those bands on it because it keeps it nice and neat, especially when you're done and you go to store it. Okay, so then what we're going to do for row 2 is I'm just going to leave this tail alone. We can kind of drop that down now, and we'll trim that at the end, and I'll show you. So for row 2, what we're going to do is we're going to chain 1, and we're going to turn our work. Now you notice that it's slid around. It's fine. We'll just slide it back when we're done. So I did a chain 1, and then I'm going to turn my work. Then what we want to do is work 3 double crochets in that very first stitch. So that very first stitch that you see, we're going to work 3 double crochets. So to make a double crochet, wrap yarn around hook, insert it in that first stitch there that you see. Go nice and slow because it's teeny tiny. Wrap yarn around hook. You'll have 3 loops on your hook. Wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the first 2 loops. Wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the last 2 loops. Then we're going to work our second double crochet into that stitch. Same stitch. Bring it through the first 2, bring it through the last 2, and then work your third double crochet into that stitch. All in that same stitch. Just like that, okay? All right, next we're going to skip the next stitch that you see, and then we're going to slip stitch in the next stitch after that, okay? So to do the slip stitch, insert the hook into the stitch, bring up a loop. Now bring that loop through the loop that's already on your hook. Okay? All right, so in the next stitch you come to, we're going to work 3 double crochets again to create our next little scallop. So you might need to wiggle it in there a little bit. It's all very teeny tiny. So work 1 double crochet, then work your next double crochet, then work your next double crochet. So 3 in all in that 1 stitch. Okay, then we're going to skip the next stitch, and in the stitch after that work a slip stitch. Insert the hook into that stitch, bring up a loop, bring that loop through the loop already on your hook. And then in the next stitch we're going to work 3 double crochet once again. I need to wiggle it in that first time. So 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet. This definitely takes a steady hand. And then 3 double crochet, all in that same stitch, okay? I'm going to get a little bit more yarn off my skein here. It's kind of traveling around. Okay, we're in the home stretch. So then what you're going to do is skip the next stitch. In the stitch after that, work your slip stitch. Just like that. That's what rounds off those scallops and makes them look so pretty. Okay, and then in our last stitch of the row, we're going to work 3 double crochet. Now I found when I made my first earring that this last one was particularly snug, and I had to really kind of shimmy it in there. But it's okay, you can use your finger to kind of help guide your hook. But you just want to make sure that you have 2 loops on the hook. Okay, so wrap yarn around hook, insert it into that stitch, bring up a loop. We're working 3 double crochets into that last stitch, okay? So 1, 2, well that was 1, and then this is 2. That last one's going to be a little snug, so just be very patient with that last one. So that was 2. And then 3. Now, if we just were to stop here and fasten off, our scallop would have sort of like a boxy look on this one side. Let me just show you. It would just kind of have like a corner to it, and we want it to be more rounded like our other scallops. So what you want to do now to finish off the row is in that same stitch, also work a slip stitch. So insert the hook, bring up a loop, bring that loop through the loop already on your hook, and then our beautiful little earring is finished. It looks really cute. All right, so let's do this now. Let's trim our yarn. And let me just zoom out so you can see everything. Trim your yarn, and we're done with the crochet part now. We're gonna assemble. So what you want to do is to fasten off is wrap the yarn around the hook and just bring it through that last loop that was on your hook and bring it, like snug it down and tighten it. Okay, so we need to slide our scallop around so it's at the bottom. Okay, so from working it, it just moves around a little bit. And then what you want to do, this is that end we wove in as we went along. So you want to grab your scissors, and I have big scissors that I normally use for things, but these little tiny scissors, when you're doing small work, they just seem to be so much easier. Okay, so I'm going to give it a little bit of a tug. I don't want to cut it flush. I want to give it a little bit of a tug so that when I trim it like this and straighten things out, it sort of disappears, okay? Now, grab your tiniest tapestry needle that you have, and what you want to do is look at the side, pick the side that mimics the other one and matches the other one. And what you want to do is thread your tapestry needle, and then you're just going to weave in your end. Just go in those back little loops of your stitches. You don't want it to show. And just take it through a few stitches. It's going to be really teeny tiny, so you just want to just take it through a couple of those stitches, and then grab your scissors again. And then we're just going to trim and then just kind of straighten things out, and that end will disappear. And then you just want to like shape up your scallops a little. And now we have two little earrings. I just absolutely love these. They're so cute. Okay, so the last thing we need to do is put this little hook on our earring, okay? So if you had them already assembled, like the ones I showed earlier here, you're done, okay? But if you need to assemble, I'm going to show you how to do that too. So grab your jump ring. These come in large packs at the craft store. And then what you want to do, let me just zoom in so you can see what I'm doing here. You're just going to hold your jump ring in place and then grab one pair of pliers. This is how I like to do it. Some people do it a little bit differently. But grab one pair of pliers, and then you're going to just hold it so that that little seam is at the top. And then you're going to grab your other pliers. I find this is the easiest to do it with 2 pliers. And you're going to twist it a little bit to open the ring up. I apologize, it's so super tiny. And then you're going to just hook it onto the little hoop or the ring at the top of your earring. And then you're going to grab your pliers again, and you're going to just close it up. Okay, some people can do this with their hands. I need the tools. And then you just want to kind of pinch it closed, flatten it out a little bit, just make it so that it looks the way it did before you opened it up, okay? Then, now I have this style that, I have this style ear hoop that I just have to bend this open to hook it on. If you don't, if yours is just a fixed ring, you'll want to hook it on before you close that. That's all. That's the only difference. Grab your needle nose pliers again, and then you're just going to kind of bend this open just ever so slightly. And then grab your ring, and you're just going to hook it on there. And then grab your pliers again and just kind of like bend it closed. Okay? So our earrings are finished. I just love them. They're so fun and cheerful for the warmer months ahead. If you need a little pick-me-up, they're just like a perfect little thing that you can make in just, I mean, we made ours in just a few minutes, and then you just repeat for the other earring. So that is how you crochet the Caribbean Waves hoop earrings. Thanks so much for watching, and be sure and click the subscribe button to get all the latest Fiber Flux video updates. Thanks again.